we go, we're live. Told you it was quick.
Yeah, it's quick, yeah. Go on, I'll let you do your bit first and then.
Well, I was just going to say, do you want to start us off, Mark, with an introduction to you and your books?
Sure, yeah. So my name's Mark. My pen name is Trevor Mark Thomas, for reasons that I won't bore you with. And I write, what do you call it? Gritty Northern Noir books. And I've had 2 out, and they've both been published by Salt. And people seem to have liked them, really. So the first one was written during my MA, my creative writing MA at Manchester Metropolitan University, and it was my dissertation book, and it was picked up by one of the lecturers who wanted to publish it, and yeah, so I carried on from there. So, and they're both they're set in Manchester or the Peak District, and terrible things happen in them. So, whoops, that's the first one, which is called The Bothy, and that came out in 2019. And then this one, came out last year. It's about a year. It's nearly a year old. This is nearly its birthday. So hooray to that. Yeah. And do you want me to read the blurb or?
No, we're good. That's fine.
Okay. All right.
That's all good. That's all good. We don't make you do readings here.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
very, very welcome not to. Because when I met you, we were at Bradford Lit Fest.
Yes. Yeah.
And you did have to do a reading there, didn't you?
I did have to do a reading, yeah, which is fine. It's kind of the bit I don't really like doing for some reasons. I think it's because you meant. I suppose you have the question of like, do you do the voices or not? And I've decided not to because it'd be a bit silly. But I have seen readings where people do the voices, and with varied success. So yeah.
Also, I'd imagine because all of the 3 of you who were there doing that particular panel must have to carefully choose the bits of your books that you read, because there are some quite dark moments in.
True. Yes, that's true. I think there is some time. I think so. Sometimes you're kind of tempted to read a bit in the middle, like a really cool bit in the middle, but you have to kind of explain how you get there, and I think it kind of spoils things a little bit for the reader sometimes. So if someone was going to go and read it, it's going, oh yeah, I know this, I know what happened. So, and then reading at the bit at the beginning, which in theory is meant to be the attractive bit. It might not be the best bit of writing, so it's difficult to. I mean, that's my first thing. Is like, is it like the best? Is it a bit that I'm quite proud of? But you're quite right. Like the dark bits. Yeah, I'm not sure. You'd have to kind of offer trigger warnings and things like that, I think, sometimes. Especially to really, but then also they might just they wouldn't make all that much sense without knowing the characters and so on. So it's kind of it's a funny thing to try and pick. And also, lastly, do you actually enjoy reading it? Is it a bit that kind of comes easily as well? And so yeah, I think the bit I wrote was about 30 pages in or something like that. So I hope that was attractive enough for people to buy the book anyway. A few did, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought it worked.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Bought it and read it.
Oh right, okay. Did you like it?
I
was just like, It was the that's the bit. It's kind of I've read it, and you kind of like you try. You know, it's like a poker game. I hope you enjoyed it anyway, and if you didn't, I'm sorry.
Do you know, I actually really did, and
Oh,
I was talking to my husband when I was reading it, because I am by nature quite a fan of the cozy crime.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I would choose to, like, I went out and bought a crime book, I would probably either buy Cozy Crime or something like Rivers of London.
Right, okay, right.
So not your target market in Brighton.
No, it's a shame because cozy crime's quite big at the moment. Mine's not cozy at all. So,
But
yeah.
having said that, I did really enjoy it.
Oh, good, brilliant. That's nice to know.
I think what swings it is the characters. So,
Yeah.
like, lead kind of little core group of them, you fall in with them and you really like them.
Even though you shouldn't like them.
Even though you shouldn't like them, you kind of be rooting for some of them through it. So even when it gets a bit, you're like,
yeah, that's the bit I kind of work quite hard at, is the characters. It's kind of because often I don't really have a plan when I'm writing it, so I'll like let the characters. I'll just start with two characters talking to each other and just see what happens, and even if that doesn't end up in the book, you kind of start to learn about the character more and more and more, and you kind of get a feel for them, and you do start to like them, even though often they're quite horrible. I think the first book, the Bothy, because that really is kind of almost character driven, and yeah, there were characters in that I kind of really thought they were going to be all mean, terrible people, and I actually really liked them, and it was quite odd, and they were kind of quite easy to write because easy, but you know what I mean. It was kind of it just sort of happened naturally. I could just let them go, and they just move the story along quite nicely, and then reveal surprising things about. I was surprised by some of the things they did as well. So, I felt that if I'm surprised, the reader will be surprised as well. So, yeah.
so we
So it's
try
quite.
not.
Go
Go
on.
on, sorry.
No, go on.
We try not to do spoilers in the group, but I'm kind of curious as to, like, the lead character in this has just come out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
Does the Bothy cover like that lead up to him going to prison? Or is
No, it's. I think it happens in the same world, if you like, but it's a bunch of different characters. At one point, I was trying to link them, but it was quite cheesy. It was kind of like it was like leaving Easter eggs everywhere, and they were like often quite blatant and obvious. Excuse me, and it just felt quite cheesy. So the first one is completely. The main character is actually quite passive, and he has things happening to him a lot until he starts to take charge of his own life, if you like. But it's all the first one is almost all in this horrible pub in the middle of the Peak District. It's like incredibly claustrophobic. And the second one, I couldn't bear to write anything that claustrophobic again. I wanted to, so I went, let's go in the countryside and let's go in the city, and just to make it, it was just too much to write the same sort of thing again. Although it was tempting because it worked. I felt like it worked, but I was like, no, try something different to sort of test myself. So so the first one is not directly connected to the second one, but it happens in the same world. There might be a way. So I'm writing a new one at the moment, and I could probably connect them to both, but you'd have to ask why. Because are you just being cute, basically? Are you just trying to kind of tidy everything up and link things together? Would there be a point to doing it? And at the moment, I don't think there would be. But yeah, they're both quite bleak books, I think, but they are kind of very, very different environments. The second book is in a lot of it's to do with the hill fires around that we had around so Staley Bridge and basically parts of the Pennines, these terrible hill fires, and so I wanted to write about that. I thought that was quite important to write about, but obviously quite dramatic as well. So and the first one, the Bothies, is set during winter. There are no fires there. So, but I was fed up with writing about the snow, so I wanted to write about the summer instead. But
is it based on a real horrible pub in the Peak District, or have you made one up?
I've sort of made it up, but it is based on a real. So it's the highest. It's meant to be in terms of altitude, the highest pub on the island of Ireland, and it used to be called the Ponderosa, and my girlfriend and I drove past it once, and it's in the middle of the glens. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's stunning countryside, but it's just in the middle of nowhere. But she was telling me that it's where paramilitaries used to meet up to plan things. And I just imagined, what would it be like if I went in there now? And obviously I think, well, I don't think I'd make it out alive, but I wanted that sort of isolation. And I kind of thought, well, no, you can be pretty isolated in the Peak District as well. But I wouldn't have had paramilitaries in it, but it would be criminals of some kind. And it is like an innocent guy walking in, or apparently innocent, walking into this sort of terrible pub and seeing what happens. And it kind of developed on its. I had no idea about the story at all, and it just kind of developed on its own. But there are a couple of ones I can think of, but they're not that bad. The pubs, but the Ponderosa, when we went past it was all boarded up, and it looked scary. It looked really scary. So it was just. I kind of thought, I'm gonna have to write about that one day, because it was quite just incredible to see, and in this beautiful countryside, and it was just this. It was quite scary. It did look scary. It did look scary.
What were the things that sort of triggered the story idea? Was it the fires with dry cleaning that made you start with the story, or did you come up with
the fires? Yeah, well, that was after my my dad wasn't very well in hospital, and so in Stepping Hill and in Stockport, and these fires have been kind of going on for a while. And then so my girlfriend, she was commissioned to write an article by the New Statesman on the fires, and so after I'd sort of said goodbye to my dad, we just jumped in the car and went up to sort of have a look, and it was apocalyptic. It really was. It was kind of like the sky was sort of yellow, people wandering around in masks, and this was well before COVID as well, and it was quite scary, and police were turning us back before we weren't going to go close, but we didn't want to cause any trouble. But it was just like this quite. I just kind of thought, I have to write about this as well, because it was kind of, it kind of worked in a story sense as well, because it was obviously a really stupid place to go and hide, but it would also be a very good place to hide because of the smoke and so on. And it was, Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back, when he goes into the asteroid, all those asteroid field, because no one would be stupid enough to go in there to after him. It was kind of that kind of idea. And so, yeah, I just kind of thought, I wonder why he's gone. I wonder why he wants to hide there, and so on. And then you sort of make your way back. So yeah, it's these little things can be triggers, can't they? Really, and it's using the real stuff of reality for your own to write fiction. I think so. If that makes sense, yeah.
No, it's a good answer. For the second time in a crime thing really recently, I'm going to have to confess to the fact that I really don't like Star Wars.
You don't like
Star Wars?
Oh, that's all right. No, lots of people don't like Star Wars. That's fine. No, that's fine.
I'm on the very, very don't like Star Wars train.
No, that's fine. No, lots of people don't like Star Wars. It's fine.
Normally, you meet people who are like, "Oh, how can you not like it?" And you're like,
we don't all have to like the same thing, do we? So,
no, it's a good thing not to like them. So I when I was reading Dry Cleaning, remember the bit that you read when I got to it, and there's this really good scene where he goes to visit his friend in a flat, and I think one of the things that made me really like enjoy the book is that there's a lovely moment, well, not a lovely moment, a horrible moment, where they're going into the flat and they're having an argument with the little old lady opposite.
Yes.
And I think that's great because it's like an incidental character who's also just brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. That was that was based on someone real as well. Ages ago. It was in Cardiff, and it was this. She wasn't. I don't think she was very well, and she hit me with her walking stick quite hard. But yeah, and shouted abuse at me, and I was like, I'll get revenge on you one day by writing you into a book. So, which you know, it made me feel a bit better anyway. So.
It feels in the story almost like a semi-affectionate kind of ranting at each other, though. Like they do it on a regular basis, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess so. There's kind of a lot. There's a lot there, isn't there? There's kind of a lot of. It does seem like neighbours who've fallen out or something. So they were friends once, and then something's happened, and that's a nice way of putting it. I think there's definitely history there. You're quite right there. So yeah.
I mean, obviously, you probably haven't thought that through. I might just be reading too deeply into like.
No, it kind of played out. I didn't think in any particular way to play that out. That just sort of played out in its own way. But it was. I think you're right. It could have been much more abusive than it was. So yeah.
Please tell me also that, because a lot of these things seem to be being based slightly on real experience, that the guest house that they go and stay in this book and the breakfast is not something that you've experienced.
Not. It's kind of an amalgamation of lots of things. I think the breakfast was. I just thought it was funny. I just tried to think of the worst breakfast you could possibly have, and that kind of just came out normally. The guest house, I think we've all just stayed in ones that aren't that good, and they're a bit clammy and weird, and not that nice. So it was like an amalgamation of lots of those from when I was a kid, actually. When so my dad hated his job, and so we used to go to the lakes to cheer him up, and we just ended up in all of these really mad kind of B&Bs and things. And they were kind of a variable quality, and it's kind of just thinking about, and sometimes you just use your imagination. It's like I want this to be really grim, so you just use your imagination. So yeah,
it was a particular, but also quite funny.
Oh, yeah, it was quite funny staying in them as well.
It's just the moment where they like see their breakfast, isn't it? They're like going out. The other residents are like, "Are you really going to go and eat breakfast?"
Yeah. No, I've got breakfast very important to like cooked breakfast are really important to me if I stay anywhere. And there's nothing worse than a disappointing one. It's just it breaks your heart. It really does.
Really? I don't think I'm that bothered.
I am. I get really upset about it. It's just yeah. It's just I don't know.
What
It's
can
just
you tell us?
treat, that's all.
Yeah, I guess. Well, maybe because you don't do it yourself at home that much. I guess it's like a treat when you go away.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I couldn't do that every day. I couldn't eat one of those every day. But yeah, it is a treat. It does seem like a treat.
What can you tell us about book 3?
Well, it was going to be. I was going to have a go at folk horror, and then I realised I kind of got so far, and I just thought none of this makes really any sense. So I've decided to go back to my horror, crime sort of element. So it's based in Manchester, and I'm just doing. It's a simple private detective. He's asked to find someone, and it becomes more and more complicated. And so it has elements of. It does have folk horror elements in it, but I decided because folk horror is as I was learning, it's just like it's so full of kind of tropes and cliches and symbols and things, and they're done to death, like standing stones, toothless simpletons in the village in villages. It's kind of it's all kind of these little wooden witch thingies. It's all kind of done to death, and I just went right. Well, I'm going to do folk horror in a city instead, and let's see how that goes. So it has folk horror elements in it, but it's not. I'm going to try and do it my way, which potentially sounds rubbish, but I'm pretty. It's actually going all right. So, but yeah, I tried doing a full kind of folk horror kind of thing. It just didn't.
Intrigued as to you doing folk horror in a city. I think that'd be really interesting.
I say it seems a bit more. You break free of a lot of the expectations. There's always a standing stone. There's always blah 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 blah. Blah. It's all kind of. It's just like people in robes wandering around. And you start going. This is just like what's that Sloan Hot Fuzz. It's like Hot Fuzz, and it's quite hard to make it without being really. So you either go really cliched and horrible, or you try and go light on it, and then it just doesn't work. So I was finding it really hard to make it work, and it was just and you start reaching for the familiar levers. So standing stones, nighttime sacrifices. It becomes a bit. Basically, the Wicker Man did it all, and it's like, are you going to be able to do the Wicker Man better? And it's like the answer is no, no, I'm not. So try and do it my own way.
I don't think that's an insult to you. I think the Wicker Man is kind of peak.
Yeah, exactly. I know, but you kind of think, well, I've got to try and do something a bit differently here, and then you kind of can't. So it's I can't anyway. But and then also there's a lot of it about at the moment, and I think I've probably missed the the crest of the wave sort of thing. So be better off just doing my own thing, maybe.
How's the reception going to your own thing though? With the 2 books are out, how's it going so far?
The what? Sorry.
How are people getting on with the sort of books that you've got out so far? Good reception.
Yeah, they surprisingly like I see quite a few people around to where I am because they buy the book because they're being supportive and things. I'm quite scared that sometimes that they're going to be the contents of the book will scare them off a bit. and no, they've really enjoyed it. So enjoy is not the word, but they found it readable. The first one got some really good reviews. The second one has sort of gone under the radar a bit, but yeah. So people seem to really like it. So it's them, sorry, and yeah. So that's something, isn't it? I guess.
That's good.
You know, the only person who didn't like it was my the first one. he put in it was my uncle, and he put in this really bad review in Amazon, which is fine, but it was 2 days before my dad's funeral, so that was great. So it was a bit mean. It was. I'd rather he hadn't said anything at all. But yeah, that was a bit harsh, and I told him so. So never mind. But the so it's right. Yeah, that's by far the worst review, and that was more to do with timing than anything else. So yeah, and you've got to make friends with people not liking your book and all that sort of stuff. You have to just take that on your chin, rather than there is temptation like to go to bed for a week and cry, but it's doesn't really get you anywhere, does it? So
well, I think as well that people don't trust a book with just good reviews, do they? Do you know what I mean?
no,
Even Pride and Prejudice and things like that are classics have got 1-star reviews. It just feels more like a real book if it's got a mixture of them.
yeah. I mean, it's fine. And it's Amazon. Who cares? It's fine. It's quite nice when you sort of see people who have read it, and they just chat to you about it. That's really nice. There's no better review, even if they say, "Oh, this bit's I'm not sure about" or something. It's great. It's really nice that they've read it. It means a lot. So
I think you balanced sort of some of the darker moments in it quite well with a bit of humour. There's quite a sort of element of like a dark humour going through, isn't there? Like there's a young, kind of silly, wannabe criminal kid who's like quite funny. But like the interactions he has with other people are quite funny.
yeah.
Moments like the terrible breakfast in the guest house. Do you know what I mean? There's like lots of little moments where you're like, this is actually quite.
I think it would be unbearable to read without the lighter moments, and I think I kind of I don't know. I feel like I should put them in anyway, but again, it's naturally occurring. Just in life, when very very bad things happen, it's just suddenly out of nowhere something quite funny will happen, and it seems to be the way, rather than unremitting misery. That you get with Dostoevsky or something like that. It's kind of that there are kind of little moments of like glimmers of humor, and because it's just life would be unbearable without it, really, wouldn't it? So it's hard enough. It's hard enough as it is.
Wrote comedies.
Yeah, I know. It's just I've read some of his stuff. He's got, oh god, it's just like lighten up. No, don't mean that. It's just it's it's kind of grinds you down. I think sometimes it's sort of, so I find it quite difficult, but yeah.
I really like his books.
That's fine. Yeah, it's no, I admire him. It's just it can be quite.
Yeah, he can be quite a relentless read, can't he?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah.
But I think that's okay. And I think you're right in that, like real life, you sort of get those dark moments and then a bit of humour to come along and alleviate it.
Definitely.
I think that is another thing that kind of lifts the writing to like that sort of level of quality, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That you have those things in it, because there are some people who would have written that story and it would have just been unremittingly.
Oh, I just think it's too much. It's too much. We've all read books that are like that, very, very serious, and it's just kind of constantly just misery upon misery upon misery, and you just it's what I wouldn't say like it's not fun to read, because that sounds a bit silly, because but it's just like it stops being interesting, I think, sometimes, because it's one note then, isn't it? You need like this kind of different like light and shade, I think. It's too unreal. Yeah, that's it. One note is just one note of misery, and then you just don't feel like you're learning very much after a while. So sorry, just some onions dropped on the floor. Sorry about that. I'm in the kitchen. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
It's fine. So the books are kind of, because you've sort of got unconnected but kind of similar sort of places books. Are you tempted to return to any of the characters at any point from any of the earlier books?
It's quite hard because I tend to kill most of them, so it's sort of it's sort of.
I was going to say any of the surviving characters, but
yeah.
I was trying not to give spoilers away.
No, I know. I've just waded in there, haven't I? I'm sorry about that. It depends. It's quite nice just to start with a new, a fresh. I think it's kind of. If you're lucky enough, like as a writer, and you do end up with a character, then you can start making a series. Then you should obviously absolutely go for that. But I haven't really. That's not happened yet, and it's quite hard to, work out how I would do that, and how the surviving character stories would be different. But it's because writing is. This is boring, like when authors go on about this, but it's like writing is so kind of compressed and sort of intense that you do just want to try something different. I think like a different like tone or even genre or something, just to break out from, because you do start worrying that you're writing about the same thing over and over again. Kind of, I've used that phrase before, and it's kind of, I'm always going on about rubbish in, trapped in chain link fences and things like that. And you just want to break out from that. And it can be the same with characters, where you just go, yeah. It's they're messed up about this, they're messed up about that. And it's just trying to, I suppose it is whether or not you can develop the characters. If you think the characters have got something else, to say or to develop in some way. And, at the moment, I think I've said everything I want to say with them, but that might change in the future. But yeah, I mean, the idea of doing a series as well is kind of, some people just sort of naturally, they just go for it, and they're quite happy with that. And at the end, when I've finished a book, I've never felt like, oh, we could see what his next adventures are. It's like, I'm done with him. I'm going to pick on someone else now to follow someone else's story. But that's a personal thing rather than anything else, I think. So.
Yeah, and it's fine, isn't it? Because some people like to kind of be done with a book as well.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, and I admire that, actually. But it's not. It's each time I've not found myself at the end of a book feeling like I want to carry on their story. But I don't know. And it's also like thinking about trying different genres and things, and that was sort of the folk horror idea, and it didn't quite work out. But it's sort of trying something beyond crime as well. But again, nothing's occurred to me yet. So,
have you got any other genres you want to take a go at after folk horror?
Folk horror, I'm not going to be able to do. I think I've learned now. I'd like to do something. So J.G. Ballard is he's one of my big heroes. I'd love to do something like that, like a J.G. Ballard kind of sort of. It's like a dystopia, but it's set now, and it's kind of yeah. I love those books, and I'd love to be able to say something about where society's going and everything, but all of it involves AI, climate change, and I don't know, at the moment, fascism, apparently. So it's not much I can say about the future that no one else is saying. So, but science fiction, I'd love to try science fiction. I'd love to try it.
Maybe something like a cyberpunky style, because they're quite gritty and dark and
have
some of the vibes that you write in the crime that you could kind of.
That's not a bad idea. No, that's I will note that down. That's quite a good idea. I don't know. Just thinking, it's stuff you enjoy reading, isn't it? Really, but yeah. But J.G. Ballard I love J.G. Ballard. But I'm not sure I'll be able to write something as subversive as him. Yeah, or as clever. So,
what's your favourite J.G. Ballard?
Probably it's between Atrocity Exhibition and Cocaine Nights, I think. I love those, but they're fascinating. His short stories are amazing as well. I wish I could write short stories like that. But yeah, no, Cocaine Nights and Supercount. So they're kind of like crime. J.G. Ballard doing crime novels, and they're fantastic. They'll take you in a very very weird place to a very weird place, very persuasive and scary. Brilliant, amazing books.
He's quite. I've not read a lot of his stuff, but he is quite a weird author.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at. I've got the Drowned. Is it Drowned World?
High Rise is really good as well.
Yeah, I've read that one, I think. Yeah, I've dipped in and out of them, and I do quite like them. They are.
No, they'll take you. They make you think in a very strange way, and it's persuasive and a bit scary because it's kind of part. I think Martin Amis said it's like it switches on part of the brain you didn't know you had, and I think that's true. It just yeah, it's fascinating.
Do you like Jeff Vandermeer? I feel like Jeff Vandermeer writes kind of modern stuff that's quite along that line.
I haven't read that. No, him. Sorry.
Oh,
no,
he's great.
Right, I'll write that down as well.
Love his books.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
They're very good. Right, I can ask you loads of our old favourite book group questions because you've not been on with us before.
Okay.
So they're all new to you. My favourite one when we started doing these was to ask people if they would make a graphic novel adaptation of one of their books.
If they would agree to it. If they would want a graphic novel. Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yours work quite well as well because there's a lot of quite graphically
it'd work.
sort of
it'd work.
Comics, isn't there? Yours would work. I can see that.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that's a nice thing to think about. But yeah, I don't think it'll happen. But yeah, I'd be open to that. Yeah, definitely.
Laura's favourite question is, have you ever acted out a scene as you've been writing?
No, that's a good question, but no, it all it all happens in my head. So when I'm kind of typing, so it kind of comes through. That sounds a bit strange, but as I'm typing away, and it will just kind of play out. Where I kind of get my really good sort of where I solve lots of problems with the books I'm writing. It's generally when I'm walking my dog. So and it will just come to me in a very strange moment. So no, I don't act it out, but I can see the benefit of doing that. Actually, I don't think I would. I get self-conscious just in case someone came in at the wrong time. But
there are some wild answers we've had to that question. The
I'm
people
sure,
who acted
sure,
out fight
I'm
scenes
sure.
on Whitby Pier. We've had people who've held knives to their necks, tried shutting themselves into like car boots to see what that would be like. Someone buried his shoulder in concrete for a year to see if it actually didn't decompose, and then dug it back up. There's some wild.
I feel like I've let the side down there. They're brilliant answers. No, well, yeah, sorry.
Some
I
good answers, isn't it? Well, I mean, we ask a lot of.
could just say like I was just punching myself in the face or something like that for a while.
No, most people would give your answer. There's just a special group of authors amongst the crime writing community.
That's amazing.
Clearly
Wow.
method right.
No, fair play to them. If it, yeah.
Sam's favourite question, who's one of our other author chat hosts, is if there's a Netflix adaptation,
Right,
or a TV one of your books, who would you play?
What? Who would play the main character?
No, who would you play? Would you be a cameo? Would you want to be a character?
Oh no, I wouldn't be anywhere near it. I wouldn't be anywhere near it. No.
Because you
Oh
can go.
no.
Authors often make an appearance, don't they? In their
No, I know. No, I wouldn't. I'd feel a bit embarrassed.
You wouldn't even be like man in a cafe or.
No, I
No.
don't think I'd want that. No, I know. Have you seen Inherent Vice? So it's the adaptation of Thomas Pynchon. So no one really. So Thomas Pynchon is kind of like a recluse, and he's supposed to be in it somewhere, but because no one really knows what he looks like, they have no idea. So there's people being like looking, sort of trying to see, which is quite cool. But no, I don't think I just filming's quite boring anyway, isn't it? It's just lots of sitting around, and people shouting and things, which I don't really like. So sorry, it's not much of a fun answer, is it? Really? Sorry,
No,
guys.
it's a fine answer. It's all
It's
right.
quite boring.
Your most memorable moments as an author so far?
Oh, I saw my book in a Swedish bookshop.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
That was cool. It was a bit of a shock, to be honest. And yeah, it was genuinely brilliant. So I was like, yeah, that was really good. That made me very, very happy. Yeah, it was great. It was an English language bookshop, so but yeah, I only had a look for a laugh, and then I was there, and I couldn't believe it. So yeah, that was great. That made me really happy, actually. I was on holiday, so I was pretty happy anyway. So, but yeah, that gave the day an extra gloss.
You can't really be unhappy on holiday, can you? Especially not if you're in Sweden.
Yeah, nah, not in Sweden.
No.
Not possible.
What have you read this year and really enjoyed?
Gosh, let's think. Oh man, my mind's gone blank. I can't remember. You know what? I've generally forgotten. I've genuinely
I'll tell you one while you think about it that I'm reading that's really good. I'm reading a book about the Rock Against Racism movement.
Oh, cool. How's that?
The history of it. It's
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
I read the Paul Lynch book that won the Booker Prize. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's that was good. I enjoyed that. I read a book by Solzhenitsyn. That was good, really good. And gosh, I've just genuinely gone blank. Sorry.
No, it's fine. They're all good.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
You'll remember when we go offline.
No, I know. I know I will. I feel a bit embarrassed now. Sorry, everybody.
I should have warned you that it was a question I was going to ask.
No, it's fine. It's silly. It's just gone up. Yeah, it's just like gone out of my mind. So sorry about that.
Have you got any other? Because a lot of people in the group like to go to like author events. Have you got any kind of signings or panels or anything coming up?
Yeah, there's the Withington Book Festival, which is on Saturday, the 5th of October. Can I just check?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, 5th of October, and that's been held at the Winton Public Hall Institute in Withington, Manchester. And everyone's welcome to come along. But there's lots of authors there that are coming along. So if anyone's in the area, come along.
Would you ever write books outside of Manchester?
Yeah. I would. It just depends. It's kind of, I've tried kind of writing sort of in kind of imaginary places, if you well, not imaginary in a fantasy sense, but places where I don't have to actually say where they are or anything like that. And it gets really difficult, and it's quite nice sometimes if you're stuck, especially like just to go, with description or something like that, just to go, so I can just go into the centre of Manchester and just wander around a bit, and that kind of, I find that quite helpful. Would I set a book in that London? I don't think I would, because again, I don't know it very well, and it would be a bit artificial, maybe. I don't know, or trying to attract literary agents. Say, look, it's about London, and so on, which is a bit cynical of me. But no, I really like writing about Manchester and around here, and generally the north, because everyone writes about London, don't they? So
I think there's becoming quite a northern powerhouse of writing, especially
writing. You're right, but so then I should be part of that rather than trying to. Yeah, it's best to be truthful, isn't it? Try to be. I think I have tried writing about like people who've lived in London. I've got no sense of the place really. It's just very big and noisy, and that's all I've got. Whereas, sort of, because I live in Manchester, it's kind of, I sort of have a better, feel like I've got a sense of the place. Maybe.
I think they briefly end up in Stoke as well, don't they? In dry cleaning.
They do. Yeah. But not long enough to stay. It was, but there's bits in the Peak District as well. So my dad used to live there, so I know a little bit about there as well. It's just being able to picture places, isn't it? I think, rather than doing the extra kind of thing of trying to imagine somewhere that doesn't really exist. So you don't feel like you're being pigeonholed as a northern writer or whatever. And as you say, I don't think there's a problem with being classed as a northern writer anymore. I think maybe there was 20 years ago, but things change.
Well, I think there's so many, like, you've got like Trevor Wood in Newcastle, Mike Craven with Cumbria, people like Liz Bistry with Yorkshire and stuff. There's so many like good Northern crime authors.
Now. Well, no, I mean, writers far, 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 far better than me have tried to. I don't know if you've read Hard Times by Charles Dickens. So it's his only book outside London, and it's essentially meant to be Manchester where it's set. It's just got no. It's got no. There's some really great bits in it because it's Charles Dickens, but it doesn't really have that sort of sense of place that his books do. Obviously in London, because you knew London.
I contest the great bits because I'm not a fan of Dickens, but I have read Hard Times.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, it just doesn't really have the sense of place is one of the things I really love about Charles Dickens, and it's excuse me, and Hard Times just doesn't have it at all. It's meant to be Manchester, but it's just like there are a few factories there, and that's about it. So, but he wanted to be, wanted to write about the Industrial Revolution, I guess. But
was he a bit inspired by Arnold Bennett as well? Because he was kind of writing about
the
Banana of the Five Towns and things, didn't he? It was.
Yeah.
I feel like we've gone quite literary there.
Yeah. Well, that's the full gamut anyway. But yeah. But I think I like writing about here because I kind of like I said, I've got a sense of it. Saying it is a bit pompous, but mind you, saying I've got a sense of it is pretty pompous as well. But you know what I mean.
Do you have any other links with authors writing crime in Manchester?
Let's see.
There's some cracking Manchester.
No, they all seem to avoid me, so I can't think why. But I know lots of other authors, but I don't know. No, none that write crime. So
Really?
because I know. I feel a bit hurt, really. No, I don't really. But it's the.
Have you met Caroline England? She writes crime.
She's at the Wellington Book Festival, so I will say hello to her and see if I can, I don't know, befriend her somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll easily befriend Caroline.
Okay, good.
You'll be absolutely fine. Is Heather Burnside there?
No, I don't think so. Not at that festival. No, there's a lot. There's the Manchester Literary Festival as well at the same time. So it's all kind of But no, I don't think she's there. But
she writes kind of more gritty sort of gang stuff.
Okay. Cool. I'll look her up. Yeah.
I like her books.
Sure.
They're good, like, because she really understands, like, the places that she's. When you were saying about the sense of place, you really get that. She has grown up in like Manchester all her life, and the estates and things she roots her books in are sort of things that she knows.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And you get like a true sense of like in your books, like where the characters are coming from and why they may be making some of the decisions that they're making.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know. It's trying not to make them into caricatures too much, but you need a little bit of caricature in there, don't you? But
no real kind of bad person. Even people who end up in gangs and stuff doing bad things are always.
I agree.
100% bad, are they? There's like nice bits.
I agree. Yeah. No, there's always there's always good. People are good. They just can do bad things sometimes. So
one makes mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
No, go on. Carry on.
No. I was just wittering on. Don't worry.
Wittering's fine. We've only got a few minutes left. So, are your books on audio? We have a few people who listen, like primarily on Audible.
Right. Let's see. What have I done? I'm kind of making my way through Anna Karenina at the moment on audiobook. So, which is fantastic while you're cooking.
What about your books? Are yours on Audible?
No, they're not. They're not. No, we didn't. The publisher didn't. They don't seem to do them. So, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, there you go. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And then in the couple of minutes that we've got left, do you want to remind everyone what they're going to go and win by as they've been listening?
Yeah. Whoops. Hang on. This is the first one. The Bothy, which is kind of a winter book. And then this is the new one, which is a summer book, if you like. And yeah, they are different, but they are quite gritty. And I don't know what to say, really. If I'm honest, this is my favourite, but lots of people seem to prefer this one. So maybe listen to lots of people, not me.
Is the next book either an autumn or a spring one?
Yeah. I'm doing autumn now, so yeah, but yes, Salt. If you buy it directly from Salt, it's like a 10% off, I think, as well. And it'd be great to support, even if you don't want to buy these books, buy something from Salt because they're a great publisher, a great independent publisher, and they need support. So
yeah, it's always good to support an independent publisher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're friends with quite a few independent bookstores in our group.
Yeah.
I like to encourage people to use them. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and buying direct from them is good as well. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
And all that's left for me to say is thanks for joining us.
Oh well, thank you for having me. I hope I wasn't too. I'm so sorry I forgot the book as well. The book that I really liked. Oh, never mind.
You'll remember and come back and tell us.
No, I know. Ugh, never mind. Sorry about that. Sorry, everyone. Thank you for being so nice to me.